Welcome to the Three Moons, Three Souls podcast with host Jacqueline Burke. Today's special guest is Tania Gustafson.
Welcome, Tania. Thank you for joining us on our podcast. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, good, good. We thought we would start the day off with asking you, we're going to go back to our childhood and talk about little Tania. And what were your hopes and dreams as a young girl?
I had a really happy childhood, which I am very blessed because I know lots of people didn't, but there were a lot of great things about my childhood. I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. That was something that I always wanted to be. Um, I, as a teenager growing up, I was looking at different things. Like I thought I would like to go into dancing at one point, like
Oh,
dance as a profession. Drama, I did a bit of that. I worked for lawyers for a bit and I wanted to actually be a lawyer at one point.
oh
But then
wow.
after I worked for them, there was that whole moral conundrum of prosecuting someone that may be innocent or helping to release somebody that is good. And I just couldn't reconcile that in my brain. And all the other types of law for me were just like, they were so boring. I was just like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, so that's not for me, obviously, right?
yeah.
And yeah, so, but I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. So yeah, and
Oh,
I'm super
that's
happy
cool.
that I have three kids, three adult kids, and one grandson. So that
Oh,
was a
nice.
good thing. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So you wanted to be a mom. And aside from dancing, did you have like any inspirations to that le are leaning what you're doing today?
Yeah, actually my dad, because well, we grew up on a farm and my dad hunted and my parents fished. We all fished and we grew our own vegetables. We canned everything, every summer. My sister and I would have to help my mom can like 52 quarts of everything,
Oh,
everything you possibly can. And bake stuff. If we had anything treat wise, it was baked. It was homemade kind of thing. Not to say we didn't have junk food or whatever, right? Because that
yeah.
showed up at special occasions and when we went camping and stuff. But so that sort of so as a nutritionist now and fitness coach, like I didn't go into this field, like I didn't think I would ever be in here as my profession, as my career. I saw my dad with some health issues. He had high blood sugar, high blood pressure,
Oh,
high cholesterol. And for someone who's 5'6" and 136 pounds,
oh,
people are
wow.
like, how does your dad have high cholesterol? Like that's just weird. Like people equate that with being overweight or with,
Right.
hypertension, high stress. He had a physical job. He was a contractor. And like I said, we had the farm. So they're like, this doesn't make any sense. It does not compute. And so he actually resolved these issues with food without taking medication
Oh,
through seeking natural methods, right? Natural remedies and nutrition. And so I saw that growing up and I saw the change that it did in his personality and his health and all those kinds of things. And then fast forward, probably 10 years, maybe. Yeah, probably 10 years or so
oh,
down the road, my mom ended up getting breast cancer.
oh,
And then again, my dad did that deep dive, no computers in the home yet, right? So he did a
oh,
lot of reading, he did a lot of research. And she did have chemotherapy. That wasn't his, he wasn't too happy about that. But anyway, she did that. But he helped her to not be sick when she had that.
oh,
So
nice.
I just saw all of these things that he had researched and that he did. And the only time she got sick was when she was very frustrated about what he was making her eat, and
Oh,
my mom was very much, she loved her. She had some things that she really liked to eat and those weren't on the list.
yeah.
And so she kind of just went rogue one day and said, no, I'm just doing it anyway. I'm fed up with this. And so he said, okay. And she was very, very sick for like a whole day and part of the next day. It was terrible. So, it was a very good feedback right away saying, oh, it's a direct result of what you just did, so
Right.
we can minimize and mitigate all these other things that are coming in. So I saw that. And then when I had my own kids, my youngest child, so my kids are now 34, almost 34.
Oh,
Um, and probably almost 35. My goodness, we're coming into 2025 now.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's almost 35. That's the one that has my grandson. And then my oldest daughter, yeah, she just turned 33, and then my youngest one is 28. So the youngest one, when she was close to about 2, she had a blocked colon. And I would just notice different things about what she was eating that would cause her discomfort or relief, right? And things that were working, things that weren't. And, so we ended up going to the pediatrician and all the things. And it took a long time before they finally did an x-ray. Anyway, very long story short, their solution to this was, okay, they gave her some adult medications for a 2-year-old. So that was a big red flag right there. Yeah. Yeah. It was, and yeah. And their comment was, oh, there's a lot more in there than we'd like to see. And so years later, now I know that's code for, oh my gosh, we screwed up and we should have been on this earlier, So that was kind of my introduction to nutrition, because the pediatrician had said, okay, well, don't stay on this, and this, because it can be addictive. So make sure you wean her off, not telling me specific doses on how to do that. I was supposed to adjust as we go, and make sure she has lots of water, increase that as she grows, and come back and see me in 6 months.
Oh,
and that's what that was. And so I know now that had I not really paid attention to her food and did some big changes, that she would have probably ended up with colitis or Crohn's. It took a long time to sort that out, to be where she was completely done. That took almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
But she's very healthy. She has no stomach issues now to speak of at all. So
great.
Yeah. So, I mean, nor did she did after that time, right? She just, continued to grow and everything was fine. But that just was a big eye opener for me. So, and I've been in the health and fitness industry since 1986. I entered as a fitness instructor. That kind of came after I don't think I can be a dancer. I don't think I can do this as a career. It's probably not going to work out. So I was like, what else could I do? Because I was into gymnastics and dance and all the things. And so I'm like, well, why don't I just teach it? Why don't I just teach fitness? And I love it. So that's what I was doing. And I've been doing that since I was 18 years old. And then alongside, I have a background in education. So that's ultimately where I went into, so that I could be home with my kids. I was always the stay-at-home mom. I did all the things and, odd things around the house, taught piano lessons, did noon-hour supervising, babysat my friends' kids, all the things so I could stay home. And then when they were all in school, then I went and worked with special needs in the school.
Oh, great.
So I have a background, in autism and ADHD and all of the, behavior disorders and things like that, and behavior specialties. So, which really served me well going into coaching, because human behavior is human behavior, whether you're little or big, really just the tantrums are manifested a little differently. So the whole nutrition thing, literally, I was in the health and fitness industry, but never learned what I coach people now for 22 years. It didn't show up because the health and fitness industry, the health part is a bit of a misnomer. It's mostly fitness, right? And so people they want to lose weight, they want to get healthier, they join a gym, they go to a class, they do whatever, and then they want some weight loss tips, and the whole industry was like, well, just count your calories, that's it, just work out harder, do all the like I was doing that, and I was like, well, it's not, I don't think this is the be all end all, and so I actually, and I never learned it for all the workshops I went to until finally one I did. And when that came, when that got brought to light, I was like, oh my gosh, it was like the light bulb went on, And so then I got certified and licensed as a nutritionist, so that when I was talking to people in my family, in my friend circle, whatever, because everyone called me the health nut, because I went into teaching fitness, right? And so because I did that, I thought, well, some certifications and letters behind my name would really drive home the point when I'm telling people things. They would ask me, so I would tell them, and then but it was trying to get people to do the things, and I figured that would be it. And it turns out with people that are super close to you, it's not the thing.
Yeah.
They'll do, you can lead a horse to water, Jackie, but they're just gonna do their own thing, and it takes a while. But Yeah, so that was sort of my dad was the whole catalyst about the when I look back, he was the whole catalyst about because I saw him going to a naturopath and doing things with food when I was a
Yeah,
teenager, when I was 16. And that's a 40 years ago. How many, you were lucky if you even knew what a naturopath was.
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
times have changed, haven't they?
I know there's one in every corner almost, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's your feeling on, like, I've been watching a lot of TikTok and I see the carnivore diet is taking off like
Hmm.
crazy. So, what is your take on that as a nutritionist? Like, I've got so many questions, but I just I because the first thing I think of is all meat, and I think of clogged arteries. Like, I just can't help myself, but that's what I think.
Right. Well, okay, so what I'm going to say is that the diet industry is a lie. We shouldn't be removing any food groups.
Right.
Like we need all of them. So our macronutrients are protein, so the
Yeah.
carnivore, right? Protein and fats and carbs together. We need all our macronutrients, and then
Hmm.
those are the macros, and we need our micronutrients, which is our vitamins, phytonutrients, antioxidant, water,
Yeah.
all the things, right? Vitamins, minerals, and we get those parts. We get the micronutrients from some of our macronutrients. So
Yeah.
if we're eliminating some, or
Yeah.
if restricting ourselves that, oh, you can't eat this food, you can't eat that. Now, barring, I'm gonna, just disclaimer, if you have an allergy, obviously don't eat it,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Right.
just saying, be smart, right? But to say that someone should eliminate an entire food group in
Yeah.
order to get a result, I always talk to the people that, so I mean, I don't coach with everybody. It's like a little interview
Yeah.
process, right? But I let people know the three things that you should be looking for are, number one is what you're doing based in science. They're going to come up with science for everything.
Yeah.
So that one's kind of a blanket statement, right? But
Yeah.
number two, um, does it make sense to you so that you could do it for life?
Right.
Because if you are not doing it for life, or if you're not setting out to do it for life, then it's a diet, it's temporary. So then what do you do after, right? It sets you up to
Yeah.
fail, you know? And then the third one is, would you let your child or teenager do what you're about to do?
Yeah. Good
Because we
point.
all have the same bodies, right?
Yeah.
Our bodies haven't changed on the inside since we were born,
Right.
and we're just bigger humans. So
Yeah.
so think about a baby, right? When our babies were born, what did they want to do something right away. They want to eat as soon as they wake up, right?
Yeah.
And then multiple times throughout the day. What are they eating? Babies are eating breast milk or formula, which is a perfect balance of a protein, a fat, and a carb
Right.
together.
Okay.
So when we put those things in the right portions in the right frequency, that's our body's love language. It naturally balances your blood sugar there. It
Hmm.
naturally balances your hormones there.
Oh.
If your blood sugar is not balanced, your hormones cannot be balanced. They're like Siamese twins. They're
Yeah.
partners in that sort of venture there. So you can use food to create hormonal balance, stabilize your blood sugar, turn on your metabolism, naturally release stored fat, increase energy, and support your immune system.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
And when we do that, you just feel so good because your body's in line and all your organs and systems are functioning synergistically together because you're putting your body back into that space where it recognizes, I know this, right? This is where
Yeah.
I was born. I got this. It's kind of like your body. I sort of liken it to your vehicle. Your vehicle in the driveway drives you around town.
Yeah.
Your body drives you through life. If you're taking that car on the highway, in the summertime, you're on cruise control and it's a beautiful sunny day. Your air conditioning's working. It's great. There's no traffic. You put it on cruise control. You have a really smooth ride. You get efficient gas mileage. Everything's working well, right? You're just like, it's great. Now you hit downtown traffic in the first
Oh.
big city you come to on a Friday afternoon. Your air conditioning breaks. It's 30 degrees outside. You have no snacks and you have to pee,
Uh, yeah.
right? You were just like so uncomfortable
Yeah.
because that nice flow was disrupted. It's
Um,
dysregulated. It's interrupted. You're stopping and going. And so when you dysregulate your blood sugar, that uncomfortableness, like the being in the car on the freeway, manifests in our body in high blood pressure, high cholesterol, metabolic disease. weight gain, inability to lose weight, autoimmune, skin issues. Like it just, the longer you
Yeah.
do it, that's something that doesn't serve your body, the greater the outcome, the negative effect coming
Yep.
out of the other end, right? Because it's those small things we do consistently over time or don't do, either
Yeah.
way, that get us a result.
Yep.
And you can either like enjoy life or suffer with it, depending on those consistent things that you do or don't do.
Wow. That's wonderful. Like that's a lot to take in, but it makes so much sense, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Like
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And it all started with your dad.
Yeah, way back when. Yeah, he didn't know
Yeah.
that, and I didn't know that either. But when I looked back, I was like, oh my gosh, that would be the catalyst, because I just saw him doing all the things with food and doing the things for my mom with food. And I just saw the people that in my family that made changes
Yeah.
and people who didn't. And I just remember hearing about different things. Like my grandpa, he was kind of on the verge of diabetes all the time. And I
Okay.
didn't know that as a kid growing up, but he sure liked his sweets,
Oh,
but he would also not eat properly throughout the day either. Like he
oh
didn't eat
yeah.
breakfast. He didn't eat till most of the way through the day. So his blood sugar was already dysregulated during the day. So of course he had these weird cravings, because when your blood sugar is not stable, you crave things, right? And
Right.
so it was dysregulated. And I remember my dad saying that my grandpa had told him that he knows he's had enough soda, enough pop when or too much pop when his vision started to get blurry.
Oh, wow.
So again, another direct response from what I'm putting in my body, and he knew what it was, you know?
Yeah.
So just these things that I learned growing up, and then when I learned about the blood sugar stabilization and the hormonal balance, it just made so much sense, because I looked back at all of the things that they were doing to improve those things, and it was like, oh yes, you did that. Oh yeah, you did that too. You did that.
Yeah.
They did most of those things in order to get the better results.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
we've received a lot of questions actually with advertising this podcast. If we're going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about how nutrition can help menopause and
Ah.
the skin issues, there's quite a few women actually that have commented about rosacea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, well,
and
that's an autoimmune condition as well, right?
yeah, and also if nutrition can help with hot flashes.
Absolutely. I just did a post today. You can go
Oh,
check
really?
my I just did 10 tips on how to balance your hormones if you're having these symptoms, and hot flashes is one of them. So yeah, again, it's those things that you're doing over time consistently that aren't serving you, right? So
Yeah,
if you're right in the throes, like if you're in perimenopause or you're right in the throes of menopause, whatever, and you're having
yeah,
all of these symptoms, whether you're having one or whether you've been bombarded with like a whole bunch of them, all of those things I just mentioned about stabilizing your blood sugar
yeah.
brings your hormones back into line. And then if you want to optimize it even further, you focus on your gut health.
Oh, okay.
So those are the two powerhouse things: is you need to balance that blood sugar so that it balances your hormones, and then you need to heal the gut. Most people today have a little bit of leaky gut, if not
Hmm.
a lot, but
Yeah,
most everyone has some degree of leaky gut that they don't even realize they're having. Which is like if you think about tile or a brick wall or something, and you have that old mortar and it starts to kind of crumble
yes.
out.
Yeah.
If you think about the lining of your gut, when there's inflammation, it's like that mortar kind of crumbling out. So there's like these gaps in there. And so
Oh,
it's permeable now. So the things that are supposed to be contained are not. So they're
ah,
finding their way into other areas of our body. And then the body's going, it's a foreign invader, and
yeah.
it attacks. And that's literally the definition of autoimmune: is you're attacking, your body's attacking itself in some way. So we need to close those junctions. We need to make tight junctions once again. So we have to get rid of the inflammation. And so inflammation, like most things, is good in small doses, right? But too much of a good thing is never a good thing. We've all
Right.
heard that, right?
Yeah.
So think about, like, if you cut yourself and it goes red and it's a bit warm, that's the inflammation telling the stem cells to come and heal the cut, right?
Okay.
We leave it alone. We maybe put a Band-Aid on or some polysporin or something. And then in a couple of days, we're like, oh, it's totally gone. We don't even know.
Yeah.
But now if you're like kind of in between, it kind of got a little bit of a scab on there, it's itchy, and you're kind of mindlessly scratching, and you pick it off, you're like, oh dang, now
Yeah.
I cut it open, now it's going to have to heal again, you know, and you wait,
Yeah.
and then it gets itchy again, you mind, and if you keep doing that, we all know that it gets not just red, it gets angry red, and then it
Yeah.
gets infected, and then it gets nasty, right? That's your chronic inflammation. So the acute inflammation causes the healing, the chronic inflammation causes a crazy storm of disease. Picture that, you know, icky, yucky, pussy on the
Yeah.
inside. Like that's your chronic inflammation, right? So
Yeah.
it's a kind of a nasty image, but it really drives the point home that if we are having chronic inflammation, it's the root cause of all disease, because your gut can't heal. And so 50 to 90% of the neurotransmitters and hormones that we need that really affect menopause,
Yeah.
as well as other things, are made in our gut. So if the gut's not functioning well, it's not producing those things.
Okay.
So is it any wonder that women are feeling, you know, fatigued and overwhelmed, and
Oh, yeah.
maybe the moods are going manic, you know, up and down, or like, you know, maybe rage, maybe sadness, maybe tears, maybe the moods are fine, but maybe they just can't sleep. And so
Oh,
that
yeah.
in turn will make you pretty grumpy if you're not sleeping, you know, the weight gain, things like that. They're like, well, why am I all of a sudden so squishy around the middle?
Yeah.
All of those hormones are made in your gut.
Yeah.
So we need to start healing that gut. So, so I do put my clients on a gut protocol as
Okay.
well, with some natural herbs and things that can help to heal that, and then
Like
an
a probiotic?
anti-inflammatory protocol. Yeah. Well, yeah. There's certain targeted ones, because if
Okay.
you just go to the store and buy a probiotic, you don't know what strain it is, you don't know what it's for. You could be
Right.
buying one that's great for diarrhea, but if you don't have diarrhea, it's not going to do anything else for you.
Right. Okay.
You know, so the ones I recommend are pre, pro, and phytobiotic together,
Oh,
and
okay.
then a combination along with some natural herbs for energy, focus,
Mm-hmm.
clarity, to help with the brain fog, right? And then
Yeah.
something for natural energy as well too. And so depending on the person, you know, we talk
Yeah.
like that, whatever. But that, and then along with you know, putting your food together the correct way, and balancing all of those things. It's just it's a step-by-step process, and it's not hard. You know, it's a simple process. It requires a little bit of reorganization,
Yeah.
you know, because you're used to doing things one way, and now and a lot of times, especially as we're getting older and heading into that, I think some people have that preset mindset, like, okay, I'm in perimenopause, or I'm approaching it, or I'm in, you know, I'm getting there, I'm probably going to gain some weight. I should probably start, you know, cutting back. I should
Yeah.
probably exercise more. I should probably, you know, and they're thinking all of these things. And usually what happens is you start depriving yourself, or you cut out things, or you start overdoing with the exercise. And think about this, like if you're pulling and depriving and cutting and pulling things out, fasting, all the things, um, nothing thrives in a deficit,
Yeah.
right? So if you're depriving yourself, you're in a deficit, and it only serves to create um, disordered eating, poor body image, just it creates a depression as well too, because you're like, well, I'm doing all of these things, why am I not getting a result that I can keep? You know, because you'll get a result, everyone will get a result on a diet. I'm not going to say they're not, right? You'll get
Yeah.
some results. The point is, are they going to sustain you long term?
Mm.
Right? And we're back to that, you know, can I do this for life? Well, I'm just doing it because I want to look good on a cruise. Okay, but then what happens?
Yeah.
But then what? You know,
Yeah.
like, do you want to have to keep doing? So I've talked to people, I've had clients that have done that, and they've done those little bits in the short term, right? Okay, it works. And then, okay, but I just ignore it now. And then they keep saying, oh, but that worked. Well, what's your
Yeah.
definition of worked?
Yeah.
It doesn't work if you can't sustain it and do it anywhere, anytime, any situation.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I turned 50, my husband and I, we traveled, we celebrated my 50th birthday in the UK and Europe, and we traveled
Nice.
12, yeah, oh my gosh, it was just a wonderful bucket list trip. And we
Yeah.
traveled over 12 cities, 8 countries, and we were gone 5 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was a huge, long trip. It was great. And
Yeah.
sometimes we stayed in Airbnb, sometimes we stayed with people we knew, sometimes we stayed in hotels. You know, it was like a carry on in a backpack kind of a trip. And because we knew how to stabilize our blood sugar, I did the organizing for that. And we did that. Then those times when, I had the croissant in Paris, the chocolate
Yeah.
croissant at the top of the Eiffel Tower because
Oh,
I'm in Paris and it was
yeah.
my birthday trip, right? Those kinds of things. I had gelato in Italy and I had gelato
Oh,
in Greece because I love gelato, right?
oh,
So I had all those things, but but I knew how to stabilize my blood sugar in and around those times. So they were small blips in my radar. They weren't these massive spikes or crashes.
yeah.
So that when we came home, neither one of us had extra weight to lose. I was actually down a pound.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow, that's
we
amazing.
felt, yeah, we felt great. We had so much energy. Nobody was hangry because nobody likes to
Yeah.
travel with somebody who's that either, right? You go on those day trips and you're just like, by the
Yeah.
time you get back. No, that wasn't us because we knew how to do it. And so I like to share that with women. And so I really love it actually when women are coming and they book an appointment with me. And then they say, okay, well, I'm not sure if I should get started now because we're going on this trip in a couple of weeks or we're going next month or whatever it is, right? They're kind of checking it out, but they're like, but we're going away. Number one, it's never the perfect time to start anything. There's never going to be a perfect time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, life happens. It's crazy. I mean, things happen all the time. And so I love it when people are going on trips or when stuff is happening in their world, because if you can navigate that area of your life when it's all kind of a little bit wonky and you can learn how to do that, then everyday life is just like, well, what's a breeze, when we're back to like your quote normal, non-stressed kind of non-upheaval sort of life, then those little pockets of those are like, oh, you're just sailing right through. But now you have the skills and the tools so that when life happens again, because it will, right? I mean, even when it's happy, like when my grandson was born, well, I went to go and help out. So that was different. I was staying somewhere else. I wasn't near my gym. I was in someone else's home. Like, it's just different. It's a beautiful, happy occasion. I'm so happy to be there. And it's different, So if you know how to in all situations, then you're good to go. But with a diet, you can't, it doesn't adapt. It works in your little box in your house, basically. Right. And when you try and go outside the box, then the panic sets in because there's been no education around how you manage that, how you do it, how you deal with it in other situations. It's just like, oh, no, you can't figure it out. There's something wrong with you. And I'm here to tell people, I'm here to tell women, the diet's lie. There's nothing wrong with you. It's the diet. Just saying.
So speaking of bucket list, I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago, you tried out for a television show, did you not?
I did. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you remember that. Yeah. Yes, my friend and I tried out for The Amazing Race. We didn't make it because our video I don't think was good enough, but we did try out for it. I thought that was kind of cool that we tried out for it.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about that? That must have been exciting. Like, what did you do to prep for that? That's a huge show,
It is a huge show. And I think that's probably why we didn't get on, is because we didn't understand the depth of, I think, what people were doing with their videos to send them in. And at that time, like, I was not very social media techie with the, with videos and reels and what have you. And we had a very nice student living with us who actually put the video together for us. My Swiss student, we used to host international students. So my Swiss daughter, God bless Lucy, she put the video together for us. And so, we just filmed our reason. Like, we just followed exactly what they said to do in the application. But I mean, when you're looking at those little clips that they show you of people's applications, they really, and they've gotten better and better over the years, just like anything, right? But I think they really want something different to stand out. So, I think we just didn't capitalize on that as well as we should have. But that was okay. I mean, it just maybe wasn't our time to do it, but it would have been fun.
So right. So when you were preparing, or like before you found out that you didn't make it in, did you increase your fitness routines every day, or like how did you prep for that? Or
Oh,
did you do
physically,
any?
you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I go to the gym regularly anyway.
Okay, yeah.
And so, yes, and I always do focus on strength. That's something that I just, even before I learned that we need to build muscle as you age,
Right.
I just liked not having to rely on somebody else. If I like, I just wanted to be strong. I didn't want to um, be frail as I got
Yeah.
older, and so I would set little different goals and things like that. And as I got healthier and stronger as I aged, I wanted people to know that. And so that was kind of, I could show them that they could do that, right?
Yeah.
So I have goals every year when since I turned 50 of physical things to do.
All
So
right on. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, I'm gonna ask you one last question.
Okay.
So okay, well, it's kind of two. I'm gonna cram them into one.
Okay.
So, what advice would you have given little Tanya? Like now that you've gained wisdom, you've focused on your career, you've kept, what you learned with your dad. And what would you tell her? Plus, what would you tell other young girls starting out in their career that are kind of not knowing what to do, but they have the same interest as you, like in
Mm,
nutrition or fitness?
right. I would say that, and I told this to my own kids, it's never too late. And you should, if you have a passion for something,
Yeah,
you should go and explore that,
right on.
because like just to give an example, my middle child, my daughter Ashley, she's an artist, and she was also very, very smart in math. Like she won the top math award. She was going to go into biology in university, but she was always a creative. She was always like a beautiful, beautiful artist. And at the last minute, she changed and she entered into fine
Oh,
arts.
oh, you're kidding.
And
Oh,
no, and ever since then, she has been a freelance artist, and that is her career. She has
oh,
done projects for the university. She's done projects for Jillian Harris. She does projects for people offshore. She does crafts that she sells at the, craft sales because she loves to do those too.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's her passion. And so I told her, I said, I'm so glad that you did that because you know what? We don't know if we're going to quote unquote make it, right? In,
right.
in, in our estimation of what make it is, right? Everyone's is
Yeah,
going to be different. And we don't know. But if we don't try, we know it's a no. We know that it never will happen if you don't try.
right.
So you really have to get out of your own way and just step up and do it anyway. Do it afraid, do it anyway. Do it despite what other people might say against you,
Yeah,
and that's been sort of the thing that I've had really great mentors on that because um, you know, entering business, like who starts a business when they're 40?
yeah,
Really. But I love what Gary Vee says because he's like, heck, well, how come people keep saying they're old? They're under 60. You
yeah,
can start anytime you want. And I love that because you can.
yeah,
Why can't you?
right.
Who says that there's a specific age on something? Who says there's a specific time limit on something, even?
Yeah,
Those
I
are
agree with you.
limitations and restrictions that we've put on ourselves or that somehow have come to us through society or what have you, and we've adopted those things as, oh, if I don't get there in, fill in the blank for your number, 1 year,
Mhm.
5 year, 2 years, three, whatever, then I'm a complete failure. No, I
Mm-mm.
don't think so. I think take a look and see, have you helped anybody in that time? Have you enjoyed what you're doing? Have you learned something?
Yeah,
Have you grown in any way, personally or professionally, in that time period? And if you've answered yes to any of those, that's a win. That's a
yeah,
huge win.
absolutely.
And you've
Absolutely.
just become a better person because of that. Does that mean that you have to stick to that thing for the rest of your life? No. You might find out that I thought I would really love that, but yeah, it's not really my cup of tea after all. And
Yeah,
that's okay too. But you will learn some things from that you can then move yourself into a different direction, and they will help you. All those things that you've learned are tools in your toolbox, right? That
oh
you can
yeah,
bring out
I agree.
and use in somewhere, yeah, and use in somewhere other. And then the piece of advice I got is actually from a speaker that I was listening to a long time ago at a conference. I've heard him numerous times, and this quote always stuck with me, as I think it's probably one of my favorite quotes. It's, "You're never what you feel, you're always what you decide."
Ah,
So
yeah,
decide what you want, and don't let other people make you feel, you can't, no one can make you feel a certain way. You're allowing that, right?
Yeah.
So that's the whole other podcast. I'm sure we could go on for
Yeah.
hours on that one. Right, with the whole behaviors,
Yeah.
the behavior part of the brain and everything. I could just go on that forever. But yeah, you're never what you feel, you're always what you decide. So what are you deciding to be, do, or have today?
Yeah.
And make that decision, and it's powerful.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. I like the quote, and I'm sure you heard this one too. If you feel blessed, then be a blessing.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you,
Because I
Tanya.
think we're called to do that, right? So
Yeah, I
yeah.
I love all your inspiration that you spoke of, and I know with other young women and everyone actually listening, they'll learn something from your conversation and your knowledge, your background. So I really appreciate you coming on today.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us at the Three Moons, Three Souls podcast.